Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
South Carolina baseball is a special program. Am I proud of our team? Yes. Our players gave me all they had. They did everything I asked. There's some good kids in that locker room that are hurting. They understand. South Carolina, good's not good enough.
Am I fully confident I'll be back coaching next year? I'd like to tell you that's a ridiculous question. Okay? Been here for 21 years, and I think our track record's pretty good. So I'm sure we'll sit down and talk about it.
Summer comes early for the Gamecocks and the Tigers, but not for the College of Charleston Cougars. At least we've got one still alive in the NCAA tournament, as the Cougars have won the regional down in Gainesville and will move on to play probably at Texas Tech in a super regional next week. Texas Tech is winning its game right now. We'll give you an update on that in a moment. But after covering the Tigers in Nashville and covering the Gamecocks in Columbia, we've got plenty to talk about regarding those two teams and their early exits from the NCAA tournament. Good to have you with us as we're back in Columbia at our beautiful downtown Learfield studios. Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, the man down there, if you're watching our video stream, that would be Professor Tom Hayes, and behind the scenes popping up from time to time, the steak man, Graham Pope. Phone number 800-956-7266. We'll take plenty of your calls tonight. Your thoughts about what went down over the weekend. 800-956-7266. Email talkback@sportstalksc.com. And on Twitter, we are at SportsTalkSC. Now to sum up Clemson's 2 days at Hawkins Field, awful. They played poorly. They got what they deserved. And the season came to a stunning and abrupt end for the Tigers. K-Mac covered the Gamecocks in their regional in Columbia. Can you sum it up that succinctly?
Well, the end of an era. How about that?
One streak is still in place, though. One streak remains in place. The Gamecocks still have not lost a regional game at Carolina Stadium when they were the home team. Because they were the visiting team both of these times.
No, they were the home team last night in the second game.
Well, doggone it, that blows that up.
Yeah, that streak's over, too.
I can sum up Carolina's regional in one play. Any other year, Kyle Martin's home run, it goes about 2 inches, a little higher, and it goes over the fence. As soon as that ball hit that yellow line, you said, this may not be the year. And streaks are made to be broken. And I think probably some Gamecock fans out there, if they call up and have the guts to say it, sometimes you need to be humble. I heard people sticking their chests out, this region is nothing, whatever. I say, well, did you see Maryland playing the ACC tournament? They look like they can, a formidable team, and look out, there they go.
14-2 in the month of May. They got hot. They earned it. It wasn't fluky. You know, they got it done. They came up with the big hits. The Gamecocks did not. It was stunning to watch, but you knew it was going to happen eventually, and it happened.
Humbling, I think, is a good word for both of the teams from over the weekend, and we'll talk more about it coming up. Let you hear some thoughts from Leggett and Holbrook as well. We also want to hear from you, 800-956-7266. 1-800-956-7266 is our phone number. Email talkback@sportstalksc.com. On Twitter @sportstalksc. The website, check it out frequently. Our website @sportstalksc.com. Our poll question, and K-Mac makes a good point. We should add another tier to this poll question, which is, what was the bigger shock? Clemson 0-2 in Nashville, USC losing twice at home to Maryland. Should probably put in there College of Charleston advancing to the Super Regional. That's on our website, the poll question. And on Facebook, our address to like us there is Sports Talk Radio Network. A lot of talk, of course, after Clemson went down about Jack Leggett's future. I do not understand why that talk is out there, but it is. Now, two very good writers in our state have called for his firing, Gene Sapakoff from the Post and Courier and Larry Williams from Tiger Illustrated. Both have written that Jack Leggett should be fired as Clemson's baseball coach. I don't agree with that, but that's what they have written. I've posted a commentary on our website, sportstalksc.com, if you want to check that out. And a reply to that, the headline is, could the magic in those hills turn tragic for Leggett? In my analysis of the thing, I looked at a number of different angles, and one thing, just came back to me, guys. I don't know if y'all agree or not, but making the NCAA tournament in baseball is an accomplishment, and that alone, to me, signifies a successful season. Now, at a place like Clemson, with their history, the goal is Omaha every year. Mm-hmm. I get that. The goal is Omaha every year. Mm-hmm. Right.
It's stitched on the caps.
But, falling short of the goal doesn't mean that it was an absolute disaster. Even though it's happened now 4 years in a row, they haven't been to Omaha at the very least. That's still not a complete and total disaster. Go back and look at the early 80s under Bill Wilhelm. The Tigers had a very poor stretch of seasons back then. Now, I know baseball wasn't under the scrutiny then that it is now. Still, that doesn't take away from the fact that Jack Leggett, for 21 years, has gotten Clemson to the NCAA tournament 20 times and to 6 College World Series, several more super regionals and the like. I'm not saying that they were poorly coached this year and that they played poorly. I saw them play 5 times. Mm-hmm. They lost all 5 times. Now,
maybe that was a problem.
2 of those were to South Carolina in games that they could have won. They made a mistake in the outfield in Columbia, and they blew a lead in the 9th inning at Clemson. They could have won those games, but they didn't. I mean, you got to play all 27 outs or whatever. So they have no one to blame but themselves. They played poorly all year. Too many errors, not enough clutch hitting, not enough pitching to go around, and so that's why they ended up with a shorter season than expected. All that being said, I see no reason why Jack Leggett should not be back. He's got 2 more years left on his contract. I don't understand this conversation going place, and I don't understand Dan Radakovich putting out a statement yesterday, just throwing fuel on the fire of speculation about Jack's job security. Leggett doesn't deserve that. What he deserves is silence from the administration. If you're going to make a change, then have a private meeting with him, which they'll have at some point this week, and tell him then. But don't hang him out to dry. He doesn't deserve to be hung out to dry after 21 years of allegiance to Clemson, to 3 different athletic directors. And Dan Radakovich has come in, and I know he learned at the hip of Mike McGee. He certainly handled this very Mike McGee-like, with a cold slap in the face, to be honest with you.
I think there's a lot of Mike McGee moves being made at Clemson right now. There's no doubt about it, just across the board. And look, there's people in Columbia that will tell you that Mike McGee was a great AD, but he did make a lot of friends along the way. Dan Radakovich certainly has a much different personality than McGee. But that being said, and I said this during the ACC tournament, that I thought it was unfair the way Jack Leggett's being treated. Now, that being said, this team did have deficiencies. The idea that this was a College World Series talent team is wrong. They weren't. They had severe flaws. Now, that still gets back to Jack Leggett and his coaching staff, because that's a team that they built. But it is harder and harder to build teams for Omaha. You're not just stacking all the players on the same 10 teams every year, and Clemson used to be one of those teams that was getting the elite players. Now they're going to places like the College of Charleston and going down there and advancing. There's a lot more parity in college baseball now. It is a lot more difficult. I think Jack Leggett deserves and has earned the right to say, yeah, it's down a little bit. I'm disappointed. I'll get it back. Let me get it back. Give me the opportunity to get it back. But right when it's dropped, the second that it dropped, and it's just dropped a smidgen. It hasn't dropped all the way into the depths of, this dark abyss where they're not even making the postseason and having a losing record in the conference. They're still making the postseason. They're still a respected program. They just haven't been to a super regional or Omaha. And I think it's compounded by the fact that South Carolina, until this year, they were on a run of epic proportions, an unparalleled run in college baseball through the postseason, a home stretch where they won 28 in a row, and they beat Clemson, and I think that has added fuel to this fire from the fans turning on Jack Leggett, and he's kind of taking all the abuse. Dabo Swinney knows how to spin it. He's lost to South Carolina 5 straight years, and the games they haven't even been close. Okay, but he can spin it and find the BCS champions, and the Clemson fans are eating that up. Jack Leggett doesn't do that. He stands on his record. You're going to fire a Hall of Fame coach and run him out of town. Be careful what you wish for. That's a very dangerous thing to do. And who are you going to get to replace him? Who's going to walk through that door and replace Jack Leggett that's better than Jack
Because
Leggett?
A lot of people think coaches are mercenaries, but let me tell you, it's a tight fraternity, and they see how you treat your brethren, and they say, I don't think I want to work under that administration. I don't need the headaches. I don't need that sort of thing. The other key thing is when you look at a coach like Jack Leggett, Corn, is the fact that he has coached in 2 different quickly adjusted modern eras of baseball. He has coached teams that's won gorilla ball, and then when they took all the juice out of the bats, now he has to coach pitching and defense, and he's adjusted it to it well.
Yeah.
You look at these coaches that have done it for a long time, they have to coach 2 different ways.
Their defense wasn't very good.
No,
and it wasn't very
good
this year, and their pitching was short. Once they went through their first 2 starters, Crownover and Gossett, they were in some trouble in that regional at that point when Crownover couldn't win that first game, and then when Gossett gave up some early runs against Xavier, and then they had that unfortunate break because of lightning and a light rain. Then he was done at 99 pitches, and so was Xavier's starter. But then they were in real trouble because everybody they brought in out of the bullpen couldn't get anybody out. And you could second guess, and he was asked, why didn't you bring Matt Campbell in at that point? Because Campbell came in and pitched 1 inning, and he was lights out. But his response was they don't like to extend Campbell X number of innings. So you could say, well, listen, you were fighting for your life. Maybe you should try and extend him a little bit. He did pitch, I think, 5 innings or more in the Boston College game that they came back to win in extra innings that kind of really saved their season. So we'll talk more about that. Let me update what's happening around the country with the games being played today. And in Gainesville, congratulations to the College of Charleston. Monty Lee and the Cougars get it done. They beat Long Beach State in the championship game 4-2. So they move on to play the winner of the Miami Regional. And right now, they are playing in Coral Gables. They are in the bottom of the 8th, and Texas Tech is shutting out Miami 2-0. So
I've actually moved to the 9th, so Miami's down to its final 3 outs. They are the home team.
Okay, so it's in the 9th inning now, and it's 2-0 Texas Tech. So the Cougars will head either to Coral Gables or to Lubbock, Texas. Now, other games today coming up. LSU plays Houston in the Baton Rouge Regional Final. Top of the 3rd, Indiana leads Stanford in that championship game. Let's see here. In Corvallis, it's Oregon State playing Irvine tonight, 11 o'clock. And the Houston Regional tonight, Texas A&M and Texas, just what they dreamed of. Louisiana Lafayette and Mississippi State tonight in the Lafayette Regional Final. And in Oxford, Ole Miss plays Washington tonight. Right now, they're in a delay. Ole Miss and Washington are playing, 2-2, and they're delayed in the 7th inning of that one. Be right back. 2-2, and they're delayed in the 7th inning of that one. Be right back.
SC Stand by.
All right, back to the scores. As I was saying, Ole Miss is playing Washington right now. Ole Miss needs one win to advance. 2-2. They're delayed in the 7th. And Kennesaw State, as we touched on, beat Alabama to win the Tallahassee Regional 4-2, so the Owls advance. So here's how it looks right now moving forward in the bracket. Oklahoma State is safely in and will host a Super Regional and is waiting on the winner from Oregon State. Louisville and Kennesaw State are paired in their Super Regional. Of course, Vanderbilt has moved forward and is awaiting the winner from the Indiana Regional. On the other side of the bracket, College of Charleston is in, waiting on the winner from Miami. TCU and Pepperdine are paired. Lafayette waiting on the regional there, winner there, and Ole Miss waiting on the regional there. And Virginia and Maryland are paired in their regional. So a couple of ACC rivals going to face off in Charlottesville in what will officially be, well, no, it won't be if they win, it won't be the last, but should they lose, it'll be the last athletic event, team event for Maryland as an ACC member.
Wow, and just so that could set up the previous bracket you mentioned, so that could set up an Ole Miss, Mississippi State, a super regional if both are successful.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, you're going to have an all ACC matchup in Charlottesville with Maryland.
Yeah.
And, and again, we talked about Jack Leggett. If he wants to start the spin machine, he can say, hey, we were 2-0 against Maryland. We didn't have any problems. We went up to their place and beat them on their home field. That he needs to go up to Dabo Sweeney's office and say, Dabo, how do you do it?
Yeah.
I mean, how do you put the positive light on it? But that's just not Jack Leggett's MO. That's not what he does. The guy's won 1,300 games in his in his coaching career, about 900 of those at Clemson.
Well, trying to correlate it all together in my column, I wrote that, in my opinion, getting to the NCAA baseball tournament is akin to getting to the NCAA basketball tournament. You have about the same number of teams, and akin to getting into a bowl game. And then making the College World Series is akin, in my opinion, to playing in a traditional January bowl game.
I'd say what used to be a BCS bowl game. Making the Elite Eight, the Final Eight in the College World Series is like playing in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, one of the traditional big games. I'm not talking about
not the Gator Bowl.
Right,
or the
I'm talking
Outback
about one
Bowl.
of the big ones, and also like making the Elite Eight in basketball.
Or Final Four. I mean, making it to Omaha.
Well, that's Elite
difficult.
Eight. That's still 8. So anyway, Jack's done that 6 times, and you look at and over the course of 21 years, that averages out to once every 3.5 years, making it to the College World Series. Mm-hmm. Who wouldn't sign up for that? Dabo has, in his 5 years as Clemson's head football coach full-time, has made it to 2 traditional bowl games, the Orange Bowl. So you can do the math on that. That's once every 2.5 years. And Brownell has made 1 NCAA tournament appearance his first year, and that was with the team he inherited from Oliver Purnell. Yet they get contract extensions and raises, and Jack is, for whatever reason, under fire. Now, I don't understand the rationale applied in 2 cases versus his case. We'll get to your calls in a moment.
You got a particular time you want to play the audio? Who you want first?
Coach A.D. Radakovich has said he's looking forward to discussing the
right, we're back at Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, here on a Monday night. I'd say I hope you had a great weekend, but the way the baseball regionals turned out, I'm sure it was not a great weekend for anybody that's a Gamecock or Tiger fan. Good weekend if you were a Cougar fan, as the College of Charleston has moved on to the Super Regional. We'll try to dial up Monty Lee here in the next hour and chat with him about the big victory today. One thing that really surprised me about the USC Regional, K-Mac, besides the fact that the Gamecocks lost like they did, the attendance. Mm-hmm. What's up with the attendance of under, 7,000 for all three of USC's games? What was up with the less than capacity crowds?
Yeah, that's a whole other thing. And, the NCAA tracks it a little bit different. And it looked pretty full on Friday night, but it was just a shade under 7,000. And Saturday, they had a pretty good crowd, but it was also, again, a shade under 7,000. And then yesterday afternoon for the early game, smaller, which I kind of get that if you're hoping they'll win and go to the night game, and you can't take your whole family out there at 1 and stay till 11. That's not doable for everybody. But the night game, the bleachers in left field were almost empty. But the ticket prices were, $30 a pass. Some people go, what, $30? For $30, I can sit close at a Braves game. I mean, that's a lot of money, and I do think the Gamecocks, naturally this happens. It's not a slight on Gamecock fans, but people get spoiled.
New
and
cross
they go,
smell
hey, they'll go to the Supers. I'm not going to do it this time. I'll watch it on TV, whatever. But Michael Roth had a tweet last night where he said he didn't think the fans showed up, because there were a lot of upset fans, and some of the people close to the program are going, well, these are some of the fans that didn't even show up for these games. So they got complacent too, and they're going to talk about this program slipping. Well, you slipped a little too, and that's always a back and forth from inside and outside of a program. But bottom line is a lot of disappointed people, a lot of stunned people. I haven't seen Carolina Stadium like that in a long time. But, the 6th, 7th inning, when the fate was determined by all intents and purposes, there were a lot of it was stunned silence. You could have heard a pin drop in that stadium.
All right, we're going to hear from Jack Leggett and from also from Chad Holbrook coming up. We had some folks holding, and they have dropped off. So if you want to jump on the lines, 800-956-7266 is the number. Couple of quick notes. Cliff Ellis, basketball coach at Coastal, announced today the hiring of Stacy Palmore as an assistant coach. Most recently, he was an assistant at Georgia. He's been around coaching for 21 years. At one time, he was at the College of Charleston. He also coached at Erskine at one time. He's a 93 graduate of Livingstone College in North Carolina, where he played basketball and golf on the collegiate level. So he joins the staff at Coastal Carolina. SEC Media Day schedule was I'm not sure if today was the first day they've announced which teams are going in when, but I'll mention it again since I got a release from them today. South Carolina will go in on the second day, July 15th. Will be paired with Mississippi State, Tennessee, and Texas A&M. Is that a pairing or a grouping? That's a grouping.
Grouping.
It's not a pairing.
Pairing would be 2.
Well, maybe in golf we refer to pairings as 3 in golf, don't we, when they go out and play? Whatever. Mississippi State, USC, Tennessee, and Texas A&M on that Tuesday. That Monday, Auburn, Florida, and Vanderbilt. That Wednesday, Arkansas, LSU, and Missouri. And the last day, we get Alabama, Georgia, Kentucky, and Ole Miss. It's a 4-day ordeal, a 4-day fiesta of SEC football. Much at the behest of ESPN, which will set up right in the middle of the lobby there and take up almost all the walking space between the interview rooms.
Here's the interesting thing.
Like they own the league, maybe?
Who would they?
Like they own the sport, ESPN?
Who would they flock to now? I mean, there's no Clowney or Manziel for them to fawn all over.
Speaking of Clowney, we need to get this. Perhaps we can grab this and play this for you. He had a sit-down interview with Sal Paolantonio. Sal Paolantonio?
Yeah,
Sal Paolantonio from ESPN out at the rookie symposium where they were. And I happened to saw the video on television. I couldn't hear it. We should try and see if we can grab that steak, man. I'd like to hear what they were talking about. So we'll try and grab that and bring that to you if we can. 800-956-7266. Over the weekend, Clemson picked up another commitment for the football class. LaSamuel Davis from Bamberg Earhart, defensive end, who is the latest in a long line of quality football players to come out of the Red Raiders program. So he heads to Clemson. They expect him to be a terrific player this year. Came on strong last year after being hurt as a sophomore. A little bit undersized right now at about 217 pounds, but with the frame to put on a lot more weight and the speed and quickness to be very fast and quick from a outside defensive end position. Probably, a guy like that, you want to put on about 40 or 50 pounds, make him about 260 or so, I imagine, and let him use his quickness and speed along with that size and strength to terrorize quarterbacks from his defensive end spot.
That's a big pickup for Clemson, because remember years ago, Clemson had Bamberg on lockdown. I mean, you couldn't get anybody out of Bamberg except for Clemson players. Then South Carolina started coming in there and grabbing one or two.
Well, they grabbed two.
So
they grabbed two. They got Kevin Crosby Jr., and they've got, before that, A.J. Cann. Now, coming up, they've got an offensive lineman named Drew Watson in the 2015 class. In the 2017 class, they've got A.J. Cann's brother, who is a big-time recruit. And they've got others. So they continue to develop talent there at Bamberg Earhart. Very good athletic program, of course, has produced championship football and baseball teams in particular over the years. We've got the NBA Finals now set. Should be good. Spurs and Heat. It's a rematch. Could have gone the other way last year. Ray Allen saved the Heat from a defeat, and now they'll hook up again with San Antonio having the home court advantage this time, and perhaps the extra little bit of chip on the shoulder for them. I don't know if that does you any good against the Heat. Both teams will be well rested. The Heat's been off for a long time. The Spurs will have off until Thursday, so both teams should be well rested. And I don't know. I was thinking about it today. Hard to pick against the Heat because they've got players they can bring in off the bench that match up well defensively. You want to put a big body on Tim Duncan. They've got the guys they can bring in to help defend him. And LeBron can do what he wants when he wants. And you've got the issue with Tony Parker and his injury situation. So I've got to lean, as much as it pains me, I have to lean to the Heat.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would only lean to the Heat because of Parker's situation. Otherwise, I think San Antonio, because of the experience off this season, they played their bench more minutes than any other team in the NBA. So they don't lose much when they go to the bench because these guys are used to playing big minutes because they've saved Tim Duncan just for this occasion. I think a key guy in this whole equation for Miami that hasn't played his usual self this year, but I think in this playoff will, and that's Udonis Haslem. Mm-hmm. For some reason, a thinking big man who can pass and then bang you when he wants to, and I think he'll be an interesting guy, a guy who played for Frank Martin in high school.
Did you see him Friday night? With all the Lance Stevenson shenanigans, and there was a replay where you could see him on the bench, and he was telling Stevenson he would kill him with some other words sprinkled in there, and somebody sent the little video of it to Frank Martin on Twitter, and he said that's a great he's a great teammate. That was great. Frank Martin loved it. He was like, most people were like cringing. Frank Martin said that's a great he's a great teammate. But I hope San Antonio wins just because you got to pull for the underdog, and San Antonio is kind of a weird underdog. I think it's amazing what they've done. San Antonio is one of the great teams in NBA history. What they've done over the course of time. If they were in New York City or Boston or Los Angeles, we would be talking about this as one of the elite teams. But what Popovich has done with that group is incredible. So I'd like to see them win one. This is probably going to be about it for them with their age. So I hope they dethrone the Heat.
All right, we'll be back in a moment. Let you hear some of what Jack Leggett said after the Tigers went down. This is the stuff about his job situation. That's coming up. Now, once again, no Braves report tonight with Mike Morgan. Mike's busy. He's calling that regional down in Oxford, Mississippi, which is ongoing, playing their could be their championship game right now. Ole Miss trying to advance to a super regional, taking on Washington. They're still on a delay, 2-2, so maybe we could call Mike and get him. But they're in a delay right now, 2-2 in the seventh inning. And what could be the deciding game if Ole Miss wins, and they would advance to the super regional. Multiply your winnings 5 or even up to 10 times for your chance to win up to $200,000 when you play the Cash Multiplier instant game from the South Carolina Education Lottery. All right, it was a tough 2 days for Clemson in Nashville. Tigers played lousy, got embarrassed by Oregon, then were just outplayed by a fourth-seeded Xavier team that had only won 29 games coming into that game. So they were sent home packing very quickly, and I thought you'd like to hear the give and take between Jack and the media regarding his job security at Clemson, which is in the minds of some up in the air. Here is what that sounded like after the ball game on Saturday.
Coach A.D. Radakovich has said he's looking forward to discussing the program here at the season's end. Are you fully confident you'll be back next year?
Am I fully confident I'll be back coaching next year? I'd like to tell you that's a ridiculous question. Okay? Been here for 21 years, and I think our track record's pretty good. So I'm sure we'll sit down and talk about it.
Do you know if you have the administration's full support, or is that something that'll be discussed going forward?
I would hope so. I would hope so.
2 more questions, one over here.
Coach, it has been, like Will said, this group of seniors didn't make it to Omaha, not out of a regional since then. For people who are looking to this program and to the future, what would you say to them? Is the future bright, or how would you characterize the future of this program?
I think the future's always bright for this program. It's been one of the top programs in the country for a long period of time. I haven't lost any confidence in anything that we do. Everybody looks at our program as from the outside looking in. We got 5% of your fan base that's always unhappy about something, but the people who know what our baseball program is all about, and the people who look at our baseball program from the outside, those that know college baseball, know that Clemson's got a strong, traditional, prideful baseball program, and not many programs been in the NCAA tournament 20 out of the last 21 years, or been in the 9 super regionals, or been to Omaha 6 times during that span. So I would think that the future's always bright for us. Just got to continue to keep working hard.
One more question.
Jack, how would you classify the season?
I'm a little disappointed in it, personally. I feel like I go into every season thinking, we want to get to Omaha like anybody else does. It follows our program, and I just don't feel like for some reason we ever really had everybody gelling at one time, playing as well together as I thought maybe we could. We just, for some reason, showed flashes of brilliance here and there, and then we showed flashes of, that weren't so good. And we never really broke through and got that real consistent thing, that mojo that I thought was, going to happen for us. We saw it at different times. We had some big games at different times. We did some really good things at different times. But somehow, to me, it's a little disappointing, but I'm always disappointed if you don't win the last game of the year. It's just the way I'm wired up. So it'll take a little while to figure this one out and figure out what we got to do, figure out who we got coming back and what we got to do to get ourselves, back to this situation, have this opportunity again, and figure out how to make ourselves better. But I'm disappointed for my players more than anything else. I'd love to see them keep on playing to win, and so I'm a little disappointed. We just never really put it all together. We never had enough players playing good at the same time, and we had different things happen to us during the course of the year. Sometimes we weren't hit and we pitched exceptionally well. Sometimes we hit and didn't pitch well. And sometimes we pitched well at the beginning, but didn't pitch well in the middle of the game. And sometimes we played really good defense, and sometimes we didn't play as good defense as we needed to play. And so it was a little combination of everything during the whole course of the season. It wasn't anything that jumped out at me every single day. It's just something where we just couldn't quite put it all together. And so I'm hoping the experience of this and the motivation of this, will be something that will turn into something positive for us next year.
There you go, Jack Leggett. His thoughts after the Tigers lost regarding questions about his future and also about the team's overall performance this season. 800-956-7266 is our number. We'll be right back.
I think he's kind of hurt, actually. And that's kind of a defense. Stand by.
Hey, you look ahead to the Tigers for next year. You see who they're going to lose. Of course, the draft is coming up later this week, and we'll see what happens with that. But, of course, I would imagine Daniel Gossett's going to be a high pick and probably will sign, though you never know if he's not picked where he expects to be picked. He loves school, and he's very disappointed with the way this season turns out. He might be a kid that if he doesn't get the right place with the right money, might come back. But as far as those that you're going to lose, there was not a senior among the well, I take that back. Matt Campbell was the one senior, so you're going to lose him, and he's obviously was the closer and a very good one, so you're definitely going to lose him from the pitchers. As far as the regulars, you lose outfielder Joe Costigan. He is a senior. You lose outfielder Shane Kennedy, who also played some first base. He'll be leaving as a senior. Infielders, you'll be losing John McGibbon, had a miserable year. He's a senior. And really, that's it. Now, Jay Baum's a junior. Don't know what his and Mike Dunster, who was a seldom used player, he leaves. He's a senior. You also catchers Garrett Boulware, who played outfield most of the season, and DH. He's a junior. Don't know what his draft status will be. They don't lose very much. They don't get hit too hard by the draft, and with their recruiting, their incoming recruiting class by the baseball recruiting pundits out there, they reviewed it very, very highly. So apparently they have a very nice class coming in. They've got most everybody coming back again, as they did this year. So They've just got to get better pitching, number one. Their pitching depth was not good. Their midweek pitching was not good. They lost too many midweek games, lost too many home games, and that's got to be shored up if they're going to get back to the 40-plus wins that they're used to and getting back to hosting a regional. Though, as we've seen this year, hosting a regional is not the automatic
and that's
pass
the other part
that
of
it
this.
used to be.
Yeah, people have to realize now it's a different era in college baseball. Now they're going to have the new ball next year. Maybe that will change things a little bit, but this was brought up before the Gamecocks were eliminated. Chad Holbrook said, look, these 4 seeds that are winning doesn't shock me because, A, schools are putting money into baseball now that weren't before. And we see ESPN picking up on this. It's a bigger deal now than it was even just 10 years ago. That's number one. Number two, the bats, the dead bats, have really closed the gap a little bit. You have a lot of these one-run games, so it just comes down to which team gets a big hit or a ball that chalks a line. That just your margin of error is a lot smaller now. You don't have these guerrilla games where the better team with the big sluggers but the better athletes is going to beat you 15-1. Now it's a 3-2 game and one team clears the bases on a triple. That's it.
And a warning to SEC and ACC teams: you better be playing good ball. And I mean 40-plus wins to get a regional next year, because I get this feeling that since they only had 2 on the West Coast this year, they're going to try to deal with more taking care of the West Coast next year.
And as far as the ACC is concerned, of course, you say goodbye to Maryland, which came out of nowhere and improved their program, but you get Louisville in, and they're a national power in baseball. That's going to make it even more fun. We will dissect the Gamecock season coming up.
All right, stand by, stand by.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
And we're back, Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Hour number 2 coming at you. Going to hear from Chad Holbrook here coming up in just a couple of minutes. I have to make a correction and an apology. The story that was, I thought, written by Larry Williams, in which, in the story on Tiger Illustrated, it was written that, as they put it, Jack Leggett should step down, was actually a double-pinned story. It was shared between Larry Williams and Chris Ard, and I attributed the information and the line about the firing of Jack Leggett to Larry Williams, when actually it should have been attributed to Chris Ard. So I apologize to Larry for that. That was not Larry Williams who called for Jack Leggett to step down. It was Chris Ard who called for Jack Leggett to step down. So it doesn't change my position or the commentary, but I did misidentify who from Tiger Illustrated had called for Jack to be fired or to step down. So I do apologize to Larry for that, and we have corrected that on our website in the commentary, and also want to publicly apologize and correct it here on the show. It just caught me. I did not catch that a second person had contributed to the article, because it was a long article, and I read it late last night with one eye open and a mouthful of Red Hots. So I wasn't entirely focused, except until I read that line. I went, whoa, that's pretty strong.
Wow.
Anyway, that's that. And coming up, we're going to hear from Chad Holbrook, and also we're going to try and dial up Coach Monty Lee from the College of Charleston. They are winners today, and they are moving on in the Super Regionals. Let's update what's happening with the Super Regional scoreboard, as there's some games going on and some games coming up a little bit later on. As far as what's going on, a delay in Bloomington, Indiana. The Hoosiers are leading Stanford in the championship game 3-0. The Coral Gables Regional, it's gone final now. Texas Tech has beaten Miami 4-0. So there's another one seed at home going out. Texas Tech wins it 4-0 and will host College of Charleston, the 4 seed. Only the fourth 4 seed to advance to a super regional?
Yes, and there's 2 in this region, I think, Kennesaw State being the other. I think the toughest thing for Monty Lee now, and if we get Monty Lee, we'll talk about it, is the fact that this is where it really tests your team leadership. Everybody talks about when things are going wrong, boy, you have to really have some leaders in that locker room. Well, when everything's going right, you better have some leaders in there, because you can get some players in there. Hey, we went into Gainesville and got Florida. Well, are you satisfied, son? Well, then you don't go to Texas Tech with us, because we still got more work to do.
You go into Gainesville and you beat Florida like they did and win that regional, you've got a team that can go anywhere.
Exactly.
Seriously.
But they relax and say, we reached the mountaintop. You don't want them to get into that mindset.
Well, we'll ask him. We get him on the horn. Ole Miss and Washington still in a delay, 2-2 in the 7th. Now, if Ole Miss wins, they win the regional and they advance. Everything else is done. Earlier today, Kennesaw State beat Alabama to win the Tallahassee regional 4-2. How mad are Florida State fans? You want to talk about upset fans? Be right back.
So don't hate on Statesville, Georgia, please. Went to Jack Stallings camp for about 3 straight years. We were dogs. What's that? Well, no, I just camped out and made all the counselors pissed. I think if you look back on those couple years, that 3 straight years, the amount of balls they had bounce their way is just astronomical. How it all fell into place. You'll never see that again, no matter what team it is. Think about the hamate bone. I mean, all that stuff. That's insane. The kid tried and tried to challenge him inside. I knew he was going to do it too. Oh, you want to do Chad here? Don't forget we got Clowney and more spots you got to squeeze here. 3 on the dot.
You get beat 10-1 in your home park, you got to tip your cap to the opponent.
All right, coming up in a moment, we'll let you hear from USC baseball coach Chad Holbrook, his thoughts after the Gamecocks wrapped up their season last night with a disappointing loss to them, to Maryland, to eliminate them from the regional, and Maryland advances to the super regional. If you want more from your education, Palmetto College does offer the quality of a 4-year education online, and to find out more, visit palmettocollege.sc.edu. With Palmetto College, your future has no limits. All right, here is some of what Chad Holbrook had to say. It sort of sums up his thoughts about losing the game last night, and then a little bit about his team. So here is Chad Holbrook, and then we'll talk about the Gamecocks after we hear from the coach.
You get beat 10-1 in your home park, you got to tip your cap to the opponent, and they thoroughly outplayed us tonight. Our guys gave it all they had. We just couldn't get any momentum going there after the first inning from a run production standpoint, and kind of there in the 5th and 6th, I guess, when they got up 4 or 5-1, it kind of deflated us a little bit. And our guys over the course of the season gave me all they had. They handled adversity. They represented this program the right way. Joel started the game today, and that was a new experience for him, obviously, this season, considering I think he was an All-American closer. And he pitched his heart out for us and kept us in the game, which is what we asked him to do. And, we just kind of ran out of gas there at the end. But congratulations to Maryland. I'm sure they're rightfully excited, and they get to go play for a Super Regional Championship next weekend.
Chad, given how high the standards are at this program for you tonight, does it make it more difficult knowing that you guys were literally 2 wins away from being close to where you were last year?
Well, there was a point in time in this season that I was worried about making the postseason, to be quite honest with you, when we were scuffling so bad and could barely field a team. I'm proud of my players. I'm proud of my team. It was a good season, but good's not good enough around here. I understand that. And so we got to do better than good. And that's going to be the attitude here as long as I'm the coach. And South Carolina baseball is a special program. And am I proud of our team? Yes. Our players gave me all they had. They did everything I asked. And there's some good kids in that locker room that are hurting. But they understand. South Carolina, good's not good enough. And it was a good season, but we got to do better.
Chad, a tough way for this core group to kind of go out. What can you say about them? Obviously, some of them aren't going to be back with draft and stuff.
Yeah, I love those guys to death. Grayson and Joey and Kmart and Joel. I mean, those are the guys off the top of my head that I think will probably have an opportunity to sign professionally, and they're great kids. They've been here and they gave us all that. They're baseball rats, and I hate it ends like this for them, and I take some responsibility in that. Not helping them more than I did, and it's just there's no easy way to end the season, especially with good kids that have given us everything that they had. But it's a special group, and who knows? And Jordan Montgomery's the other one, that's going to have a chance. Those kids won a lot of games here, and they did this program right, and they made our fans and people that follow and support South Carolina baseball over the course of their 3 years here, they made them awfully proud, and I'm proud of them as well.
All right, Chad Holbrook talking after the Gamecocks' season-ending loss last night, and we were talking here about some of the things that have happened for the good for the Gamecocks during this incredible run that now is over. I think this does close the book on, you can't say a dynasty because they did not make it to the College World Series last year, but it kind of closes the book on the power run for this Gamecock baseball program over the last 5 years. 2 straight championships, 3 straight to finals appearance, a super regional thrown in there, and then a regional appearance this year. 5 straight years of real power baseball by them. They had a lot of things go their way over 4 of those years. They stayed healthy. They got a lot of good breaks. We were talking about some of the moments in the World Series where an inch here or there, a call here or there goes against them instead of for them. History has changed. And like we all know, if you follow baseball and you stay in it long enough, things are going to even out. Mm-hmm. And this was kind of that year with the injuries and then the close call that didn't go their way with the home run, possible home run on Saturday night. And it just kind of caught up with them this year.
All the things that went their way. And, to win 28 games in a row at home in the postseason is incredible because in the postseason you're doing it against really good teams. To win 28 baseball games in a row in the regular season is incredible. That's just an unbelievable streak. That streak they had where they had the longest postseason win streak in NCAA history, that's never happened. I mean, they did things that have never happened in the history of college baseball. So they're not to expect them to play on that level ever again is wrong. And to expect them to win a championship every year. They've won 2 in all the years they've been playing baseball at South Carolina. It is really, really hard to get to Omaha, and it's even harder to win it. It takes luck. I mean, you could have the best players and the best coach and still lose because I'll tell you, there were better teams talent-wise in Omaha the 2 years that South Carolina won it back-to-back. That's just, I think those Florida teams, they had a lot more drafted players. I mean, they were really good, but the Gamecocks were hot. They put it together, kind of like Maryland. I think the Gamecocks, top to bottom, they have more talent than Maryland. They have more guys that are going to get drafted this week than Maryland, but Maryland in May got hot. They're 14-2 this month. They're starting to believe, and that's the thing about baseball. It's just that's what makes it special. It's different than other sports like that, where it's not just the talent that prevails. Sometimes it's the baseball gods and how they're smiling on you. And they smiled hard on the Gamecocks, and they took a little bit back.
I wonder if Evan Beal had been available for this regional, if he would have started that game last night. Now, me personally, I didn't have a problem with him starting Joel Seddon because he is a former starter. He's a converted starter who is now a closer at South Carolina. He has starter longevity and he has starter mentality to some degree. But then again, you do run that risk when you take a guy out of the bullpen, out of a closer's role, and ask him to start. Even though he's been a starter before, you wonder how much difference that made. I know he pitched pretty well, and he really did. And pitching, I guess, wasn't the issue. Well, it became the issue, but it didn't matter because he only scored 1 run.
Right.
But I wonder, not having Evan Beal, that's another guy that wasn't available to them for this regional. It would have been nice for them to have had that arm available maybe to put into that situation as a starter.
Yeah, and I go back to what K-Mac says. You got to have the positive karma going your way. And, of course, Old Dominion, maybe if they don't commit that throwing error, maybe Maryland doesn't even win that game. And then everything changes. But, yeah, and I think, some teams, when you take your closer out and you make them a starter, then they start to mentally, and they don't want to do it, but they mentally start, I won't say panic, but they say there's some concern here if our closer is now starting this game. We're in the lurch because now not only – and see, you get caught in it. Now we got to win this game because we got to play Monday. Now what we do if our closer had to pitch tonight? So a lot of things just rolled in the wrong direction from a mental standpoint for South Carolina.
The Gamecocks lose Bryson Selleck and Hunter Privet. They are seniors. And then among those juniors, of course, Grayson Griner is going to be gone. Kyle Martin, what do you think?
I think there's a good chance he'll be gone.
Joey Pancake.
Yes, gone.
Connor Bright.
That one's a little closer, probably.
Tanner English.
I'm told that he's gone.
And then pitching, Joel Seddon.
Gone.
Beal's gone. Cody Mincy.
Probably gone.
Yeah, sidearmers. They like them in the pros.
I think they're going to.
Jordan Montgomery.
Yeah, gone.
Yeah,
he's definitely gone. And Holbrook talked about that and how he's disappointed that they didn't get to go out on a better note. But they're going to have to retool, and that's part of the game in college baseball. That's what the fans are going, oh, we're losing everybody. But they have other guys that you don't know who they are now.
Taylor Widener, Will Crow, Josh Reagan, Jack Weinkoop. They'll probably be your top four. Throw Reed Scott in there as well.
They're going to be okay.
They won't have trouble coming up with a starting rotation, I don't think. We'll be right back.
Clowney and South Pal here. Climbing the hell out of the ladder.
Jadavion, have you been able to take a breath and just say, you accomplished what you set out to do?
All right, stand by, gents.
We will hear from Monty Lee, last man standing among the coaches in South Carolina. He's got the College of Charleston heading west to Lubbock, Texas for the Super Regional. We'll chat with him coming up after the bottom of the hour break. Now, I mentioned earlier, Jadavion Clowney was interviewed one-on-one today by Sal Palantonio. It may not have happened today. It may have happened over the weekend. They were at that NFL Players Association rookie symposium, yeah. And if you're watching on television, you're sitting around a pool somewhere. So anyway, here is Sal Pal interviewing JD.
Jadavion, have you been able to take a breath and just say, you accomplished what you set out to do? Be the first pick in the draft, go to the Houston Texans, be the best defensive player in the 2014 draft, and say, I'm going to be in the NFL.
I mean, I accepted it already. The day it happened, I accepted I was the number one pick. After that, I said, let's get back to work. Now I'm on to another goal of mine, is being the best Jadeveon Clowney can be in the NFL. That's just like I said, learning the playbook, taking care of your body, being the best team I can to the guys around me.
What was the first I'm in the NFL moment for you when you got to Houston?
When I got to rookie mini camp. When I walked in that morning, go through the training, then go through all the meetings, and I was like, this is the NFL right now, It's time to become a pro, trying to learn the game and get to work. You finally realize what it takes to be a pro. You got to just keep going every day. There's really no light at the end of the tunnel. It's every day a grind. You got to wake up every day, compete. No matter how you feeling, you just got to go.
You got to mini camp and you got to hang out a little bit with J.J. Watt. What sort of things are you just sort of learning about football from him?
Basically taking on everything, how to work. This guy, how to be a pro. What to do, the little extra things to do. He's the hardest worker in the locker room. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that, and he showed it. Come in every day, come in early, get hot tub, cold tub, stay out, be last one, leave the locker room. So, just learning from him is a great experience for me.
I got your Topps rookie card here, signed, Jadeveon Clowney. Let's show it to the camera right there. There's Jadeveon Clowney's Topps rookie card. Now, you probably have seen trading cards your whole life.
Yeah, it's a nice one right here.
But to see your Jadeveon Clowney, yourself, on that card.
Oh, man. I remember collecting my first one. I had a Julius Pepper card. I really wasn't big on collecting, but I always wanted a Julius Pepper card when he played for the Panthers, and I was like, I'm going to get one. He wore the same number, so I was like, damn, I'm 90. I'm just like following to see him go through it. Now I got my own car. I just hope it pass it down to a little kid, look up to me. Hope he be in a situation years from now to come.
Week 1, at home, Houston Texans. What do you think that moment will be like when you're running out on that field with your teammates?
Man, it's going to be great. I've been looking forward to this my whole life. I watched a lot of other teams come out that tunnel, a lot of other teams get ready to get for their first game, and I was like, I'm going to be in that situation one day, and I'm just looking forward to it, coming out of the tunnel with my teammates, the guys who really go to war with me, the guys I love, the locker room guys you look up to. So it's going to be great. And just to see J.J. Watt and them come out of there, DJ Swearing, Jonathan Joseph, and be like, I used to watch these guys, now I'm with these guys. It's going to be a great feeling in the world.
All right, Jadeveon Clowney interviewed on ESPN. And we'll be back. Monty Lee coming up.
This zen-like, exalted sense of confidence. How did he get here?
Well, you got to realize this is his 5th finals in the last 8 years. He's got a doctorate at this point.
They went into an 11-game winning streak. They got one game over 500. After that, they ended up finished last place. So we will know now who the Red Sox are.
I think that Johnny Gomes at bat is indicative of what's happened with the Red Sox so far this year. What I saw in that at bat was indecisiveness. Last year, didn't see that. This year is kind of like trying to get traction.
Right.
They got to get rid of the indecisiveness because they have the players to get it done.
All right, and again, right now, trailing the Indians. We'll get you updated on that game and the Yankee-Mariner game in just a sec.
All right, stand by, guys.
All right, we're back. Let's update the scoreboard for you here, see if anything has moved. Indiana and Stanford still scoreless, third inning. I'm sorry, still in a delay. Third inning, Indiana leading 3-0. And the other game that was in a delay was at Oxford, Mississippi, and that was Ole Miss and Washington. They're back playing 2-2, bottom of the 7th. They've taken the word delay off the scoreboard, so they're back playing 2-2. Ole Miss and Washington. Ole Miss wins, they advance. Washington wins, then they'll play another game tonight in Oxford to determine that regional. Kennesaw State beat Alabama today 4-2, and the College of Charleston took care of business in Gainesville to wrap up that regional. The Cougars winning over Long Beach State, final score of 4-2. They'll be moving on to play Texas Tech in the Super Regional. Let's welcome in victorious coach Monty Lee to Sports Talk. And, well, congratulations. I don't know if anybody thought before this started you could pull it off as a 4 seed, but you got it done.
Yeah, we did, Phil. It was something else to watch today. We gave up 2 runs in the first. We scored a run in the first, and then Tyler Thornton, my freshman, who's been my number 3 starter pretty much all year, he gave up 2 runs in the first, and he threw up 8 zeros after that, and we were able to score enough for him early in the ball game to keep the lead, and we played good defensively, and we found a way to get it done, and I just couldn't be more excited for our players and for our school and for our program.
Well, absolutely. When over the weekend, when you're in Gainesville, when did you start to think you could win the whole thing? I mean, was it immediately when you took out Florida? Did you sense, hey, we got a chance to go ahead and do something here?
Well, to be honest with you, our pitching staff and our defense has been really good all year long. We've done a really good job this year of once we get a lead, of holding the lead, because our starting pitchers have been able to go so deep in the games, and we played good defensively. We've kind of kept the game in check. That's what Coach Tanner used to talk about a lot. Is you got to keep the game in check. You got to make plays. You got to make routine plays. Throw the ball to the right place. Throw strikes, and that's kind of what this team does. We throw strikes. We get quality starts out of our starters, and we make routine plays, and we find a way to scratch out a few runs. And when we score early in the ball game, we find a way to win. And that's what we were able to do this weekend. We scored 3 in the first off of Logan Shore and the University of Florida's team in the first game, and I think that just kind of energized our guys and just made them think, hey, we're here and we belong, and we were aggressive pretty much for the remainder of our time down here, and we're able to win 3 ball games.
Everybody around here, probably down there too, was calling Gainesville Rainsville. All that weather that you guys were dealing with. I mean, how much of a challenge was it to keep everybody focused, and you didn't know when you were going to be able to play, and you didn't play yesterday, you had to go out there today. If you didn't win today, you're going to have to play tomorrow. I mean, how did you keep your guys focused?
Well, I mean, the big thing that we've tried to do is try to eliminate as many distractions as possible over the conference tournament, and then in this regional. We just try to keep our guys together. We ate together as a team. We stayed together. We didn't and that's the biggest thing. And we kind of preached to our guys that no matter what, you're always going to anticipate playing. You never think when a rain delay is going to come in, we're probably not going to play now, or maybe this game will be canceled. We really try to press upon our guys that we're going to play. You know, we're going to play. If there's a window, we're going to play. So always be ready to go. And our guys enjoy playing. I think that's the biggest thing is this team plays the game of baseball like they're in Little League. I mean, they literally go out, they have fun, they're loose, they're relaxed. You know, they're enthusiastic. They don't care about stats. They don't care about any of that stuff or, you know, individual accolades. This team's not like that. It's just a true baseball team. And that's the thing that I'm most proud of with our guys is we just go out and compete with no fear and just go play. And our guys have just done a great job of that this weekend. And that's why we're advancing.
Coach, they always talk about having leadership in the locker room when you face adversity, but my contention is you need leadership in the locker room when everything's going well. You have any guys getting in players' faces already saying we won in Gainesville, we're not satisfied, we need to get right back up and go to work and go to Texas Tech and get the job done there so we can go to Omaha?
Oh, I think our guys believe. I mean, I think they definitely believe in that we can win a super regional. I mean, if you just look at our team, we're not an easy team to beat 2 games in a row or to beat twice in a weekend. I mean, with the starting pitching that we've got, with the team that we have on the field defensively, and you know, with the emergence of some of the guys in our lineup, and you know, we've just got a good, solid baseball team. We've got a veteran catcher, Ryan Welke, who is a leader on this ball club. And we've got a Brandon Murray back in our lineup. We had Brandon out for, you know, pretty much half the year. He's a senior that started for 4 years for us. So we've got leadership, but, you know, this team is actually pretty young. We've only got 5 seniors on this team. So, but those guys have done a good job of leading these guys, and the expectations are there. You know, they're a confident group. They believe they can play with anybody, and they're not afraid to play anybody. And that's the big thing. We don't get overwhelmed. Our guys are just a real loose group of kids that just play the game. You know, they play the game and have fun, and they compete, and they just let it all out on the field, and that's been kind of our recipe for success.
Talking with Monty Lee, head coach of the College of Charleston, and they'll take on Texas Tech in the Super Regional. Do you know your travel plans yet, and how are you going to fly out there? What's your plans? Do you know this yet?
Well, I'm sure we're going to fly. I don't know if you can bus to Lubbock, Texas.
I-20.
Yeah, I mean, just take I-20 and just try to smell barbecue and look for tumbleweed, I guess. I don't know. So I'm sure we'll fly. I have no idea yet. You know, I have one of our administrators with us, so I'm sure on this ride back, we're just now getting on the bus after showering and getting ready to leave out here. I'm sure that on the ride home, we'll start trying to figure out what day we're flying out, where we're flying to. I don't even know if we're playing Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Saturday, Sunday, Monday yet. I haven't had a chance to even look at any of that yet. So, you know, once we figure out what days we're playing and when we're flying out, you know, obviously, you know, we'll try to let you guys know, and we'll be excited about leaving out and going and playing Texas Tech.
Absolutely. Real quick, Coach, what do you make of this tournament? I mean, all due respect to you guys, a 4-seed advancing, Kennesaw State, Maryland unheralded, they advance, and then you see what happens to South Carolina. You see what happens to Clemson dropping out so quickly. What does this tell you about the state of college baseball?
Well, I just think that, you know, in the game, the way the game is now with the limitations with rosters, with only being able to have 27 guys on scholarship, I think with the way that the bat plays now, you know, the home run is the home run is extremely important now, because if you can hit one, you know, you can win, but you just don't hit as many home runs now, and kids go out today and just pound the strike zone with fastballs. I think that's been the biggest thing with baseball. There's so much more parity, because if a guy can go out there and just throw his fastball around and move his fastball around and throw strikes, and you can play defense behind him, you got a chance to win every game. And I think that's been really the biggest difference in how the game is leveled out. It's truly now about throwing strikes, playing defense, and executing offensively. And if you do all those things, you got a chance to win every ball game. And, you know, that used to not be the case necessarily when you could load up with a bunch of guys that could hit the ball out of the ballpark. You know, you hit 2-3 run homers back in the day. You you could make up for making 3 or 4 errors. And now, that's not the case. You can't do that. You get exposed if you make a lot of mistakes now.
Well, again, our congratulations to everybody in your organization, and we will catch back up with you this week once everything's been determined about time and dates and everything. And thanks again for being with us tonight, and congratulations. Safe travels home.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for having me on, guys.
You got it. Yeah, Glenn McConnell takes over as the president at the College of Charleston. Look what happens.
I think we should start a petition. I mean, Lubbock, Texas, Charleston. Come on, that's a no-brainer.
Really, really. All right, we'll be back. Recruiting coming up. Don't go away. And once again, thanks to Monty Lee, coach of the Cougars, College of Charleston. Congratulations and good luck to them. We'll hear more from him later in the week. Hey, if you want more out of your education, we suggest Palmetto College. Palmetto College offers the quality of a 4-year education online. And to find out more, visit palmettocollege.sc.edu. With Palmetto College, your future has no limits. All right, to recruiting now. A lot of stuff to tell you about recruiting-wise. Of course, Clemson on Saturday, commitment from defensive end LaSamuel Davis, 6'4", 216, the 5th Red Raider to commit to Clemson since 1992, when Chris Franklin signed. Then it was Ricky Sapp, Daquan Bowers, Martin Aiken to come on down the line. That gives Clemson 17 pledges for the class. Davis missed much of his sophomore season with a deep thigh bruise, bounced back with 112 tackles, 38 for loss, and 7 sacks last season. That established him as one of the state's top prospects for this season. His coach, Butch Crosby, told us that his motor never stops. He visited Clemson several times. Florida and Georgia Tech were the first to offer in January. Clemson later followed, and he visited there in February and March, and that moved the Tigers to the front. He sat down with Marion Hobby and had a good visit with him, and they told him they liked the chance of him being a really good athlete, and they liked how he came back off of his injury. So that started the relationship, and it went on from there. USC showed interest in Davis and came through this spring, but never really offered. They wanted him to visit this summer before offering, which now will not happen. Offensive lineman Emmanuel McGirt, 6'6", 272 of Durham, picked up an offer from Georgia last week and is interested in finding out more about the Bulldogs. He has added them to his favorites list, replacing Virginia Tech. The others on the list, USC, North Carolina, NC State, Duke, Florida, Vanderbilt, LSU. The Gamecocks have recruited McGirt very hard for one of their offensive tackle spots, and right now he considers them to be one of his front runners. He said he really likes Sean Elliott and feels like he's a good guy, and he likes recruiter Joe Robinson. Says they've been recruiting him for a while, and he said that USC needs tackles, and so that's one of the major reasons that he is interested. He does plan to visit USC in the next couple of weeks and Georgia. While on that trip, he said he doesn't have an official top 4, but if he did, USC would be in there along with North Carolina, Duke, and NC State. So it's his in-state schools really against USC right now. He's an excellent student. He wants to major in pediatric psychiatry or veterinary medicine. So the academic side of things will weigh heavily in his decision. He also is a big Clowney fan. He includes Clowney's number 7 from his USC days as part of his Twitter address. Offensive lineman Austin Clark of Lexington, Virginia, was at USC Saturday. He announces on June 12th his second trip to USC, one of his final 7, along with Clemson, Virginia, Virginia Tech, Tennessee, Penn State, and Ohio State. Made this trip with his father and spent the day with line coach Sean Elliott, and he said that was very important as far as getting to know him better as a coach. He called it a good day, and he got to see a little bit more of Columbia than he did the first time around. He did not meet with Steve Spurrier, who was out of town after attending the SEC meetings. He plans to narrow his list to 4 this weekend, and the visit to USC appears to have boosted their chances of making that Final Four. He said the Gamecocks have a really good chance of making it. He wants to major in business management. He will announce around 6 o'clock or during the 6 o'clock news on the local TV station there in Lexington, Virginia on the 12th. Athlete Rico Merriweather of Augusta will visit USC June 14th. Offensive lineman Tommy Hatton, a USC target from New Jersey, visited Maryland on Saturday, really liked it. Defensive tackle DJ Jones, the junior college standout, was at Ole Miss for a visit on Saturday on his way back to East Mississippi Junior College. Basketball, 6'7" Daniel House Jr., the transfer from Houston, is transferring to Texas A&M. USC was one of his stops. You okay, K-Mac?
I'm fine.
Trying to find something exciting
really
here to keep you
enjoying
awake.
this recruiting.
Point guard Ty Hudson of Mableton, Georgia, continues to rank Clemson at the top of his list as summer approaches. He talked with Tiger recruiter Earl Grant Saturday, just checking in. He visited Clemson last month. He'll visit Xavier Thursday. He plans to visit Cincinnati while in that city. He's picked up recent offers from Xavier, Radford, and Tennessee to go along with Clemson, Houston, UAB, Western Kentucky, Kansas State, Mercer, Kennesaw State, and Virginia Tech. And today the Tigers hosted 6'5" Rajon Tucker of Charlotte. He's a small forward. Offers from Boston College, Charlotte, Presbyterian, Campbell, Radford, Wofford, Western Kentucky, and Rice. Clemson offered Tevin Mack of Dreer on Saturday. He also has offers from Georgia, Houston, Jacksonville, Virginia Tech, and others. We'll give you more in a moment. A little bit more recruiting. Back to 6'6" Tevin Mack, who was offered by Clemson Saturday while he was there on a visit. He also has visited USC. The Gamecocks haven't offered. They are showing interest. Now, USC on Saturday did offer 6'8" Chris Silva out of Roselle, New Jersey. He could visit later this month. Also has offers from Cincinnati, Syracuse, Villanova, Creighton, Fordham, Georgetown, Rutgers, Seton Hall, SMU, and Rhode Island. He's a native of the African nation of Gabon. Is that right, Pro?
I'll take it.
Or Gabon. Gabon sounds good to me. Baseball. Clemson picked up a commitment today for the 2014 class from right-hander Alex Eubanks, 6'2", 175 from Burns. He had been committed to UNC Asheville. Fastball tops off at about 86. 16th commitment for Clemson's class. And over the weekend, Dupree Hart from Northwestern announced his commitment to play baseball at the College of Charleston. Some athlete. He's about 5'5", 5'6". He's the guy that caught 21 passes in the state championship game for Northwestern. He's a very good football player, very good receiver, but an excellent shortstop as well. He's headed to the College of Charleston. K-Mac, everything you want to add?
No, I do not have one morsel that I want to add.
All right, there you go. Recruiting. It's available online. If you don't get it from K-Mac, it's available online at SportsTalkSC.com. And, of course, on Twitter, you can catch little notes that we pass along there that we find on the Internet. Hashtag ST Recruiting. Hashtag ST Recruiting. I need to mention this. Brad Edwards, former Gamecock, had been the athletic director at Jacksonville. He today has been named the new athletic director at George Mason. So he continues to move on up the chain there of Goes from Newberry to Jacksonville to George Mason. Congratulations to Brad Edwards for that. And what else you got? Anything else, K-Macafro, you want to
No, I
mention?
was just thinking George Mason, a great university. A lot of people don't talk about, but a tremendous burgeoning athletic program still. About 21,000 students out there in the suburbs of D.C.
Do they do football?
I don't think they do football.
I hired a football player to run their athletic
It
department.
is
that
great.
doesn't have a
It's great.
football
The
program.
headline since they're in the Metro D.C. area, former Washington Redskin, now AT. George Mason.
Tomorrow night, Stephon Gilmore, former Gamecock star, now with the Buffalo Bills. We'll talk with him early in the program. He's got some stuff coming up for kids this summer. We'll talk with him about that and getting ready for another NFL season. This will be number 3 for him. Is that correct? His third NFL season coming up?
3?
Mm-hmm. Number 3.
I want to say it's 3.
It's been at least 3, yeah.
So we'll have that for you tomorrow night, and we'll talk more about what's going on baseball-wise and recruiting-wise. And, of course, we can start to turn our attention towards football. SEC Media Days, July 14th, roughly about 6 weeks away. That's all the time we have to kill. That'll do it. Thanks for being with us. Thank you, guys. And we'll see you tomorrow night here on Sports Talk.